Everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Frame rate's a little low. Primac is not behaving well this morning, and we'll move a little bit closer to the mic. My clips are kind of low on volume. Missing gear detected. Got my hint system. I'm gonna check out my audio real quick because Metroid Prime is struggling Metroid Primac is struggling right now. Let me just check something. All right. Audio seems to be okay, at least my audio. The Primac audio seems to be a little choppy, which is usually a sign that something else is happening in the background and Primac is not being prioritized, so sorry about that. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit so it's not a problem. Okay. Everything sounds alright. Maybe because Byte Defender's going on in the background. Get my mouse out of there. Got a little controller issues. Alright, I think we're good. Okay. Thank you to the new followers on YouTube. I saw the message last night that I got some new followers. It was displaying your name, but now it's not. If when I have a minute later, I'll take a second and thank you properly. But I really appreciate it. Please don't hesitate to interact with the videos in any way, shape, or form. Tell me I'm right. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm super smart. Tell me I'm a fool. Yeah, something's running in the background on my computer, and frame rates are dropping a lot. We might have to restart Prime Hack in a second here if this gets real bad. As long as I'm coming in okay, shouldn't be a problem. Unless the video gets so choppy that... Let me close some windows here, maybe reduce my... whatever's going on. I decided not to multi-stream to Instagram for right now. I just can't get it looking the way I want it to. And I need some time to figure that all out. Okay, I need to get to this portal. That's what I need to do. That's what I'm trying to do. Portal right behind me. Okay, frame rates are looking a bit better. Until I get better at this, I'm probably going to spend the first part of every stream just kind of making sure everything sounds and looks okay, because, you know, don't want to say something I think would make for good entertainment / a good clip, and then just completely lose the audio or video. So that'd be bad. Morning, Tim. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Yeah, my computer is struggling right now. Yeah, look at that. Wow, geez, that that missile really clipped there. Frame rate's dropped a lot on that one. I don't know if it's OBS or something. Alright, we're just gonna go with it. If my audio starts getting really bad, give me a warning. Or if it's bird o'clock, so that means it's time to really get into it. Okay. Hopefully things will smooth out over time. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about today is I want to clarify something. During last stream, I fought this enemy in the dark aether, and it was like a tentacly monster that phased in and out of not existence, but like you could hit it or not. And I made a comment about why I didn't like the enemy, and I did explain why I didn't like it, but I didn't really go into why I think that kind of enemy design is bad. And I think that's important because I don't think it's just a matter of preference that makes the enemy a poorly designed enemy. I think it's actually a poorly designed enemy in general. Oh, what is this? Objects. This barrier shield is indestructible. Find its core crystal energized to deactivate. Oh, man. What kind of game is this? Just kidding. I'm just kidding, everyone. Now I'm like oscillating between thinking about how to beat this part of the game and what I was just saying. Yes, I believe that is my computer's fan that you hear. Is it really coming through in the audio? Let me see. Yeah, I can hear it a little bit. So Yeti mic is quality. I should get an affiliate link for it or something. And put it in my bio. Yeah, I rebooted my system, but it doesn't always work. My computer has a lot of RAM, but not I forget sorry. Yeah, I work in tech and I forget these terms. It has a lot of RAM. It's got 64 gigs of RAM, but it doesn't have anything else to kind of match that. And I remember some analogy where I think it's like your RAM is basically how much stuff you can have on your desk at the same time. And what is it? Your CPU is how fast your computer can get to that stuff. So it's like how much work you can have on your desk versus how many hands you have to actually complete said work. So we're good in the RAM department, but we're not really. I don't think we're really good in the CPU or whatever, GPU or whatever. It is working hard today. It's probably really warm too. I bought a fan for it, and I was really disappointed because it broke after like 6 months. All the cheap stuff on Amazon. I didn't get it out for Temu. Although I thought about it. Alright, new plan. Okay, Dark Aether. It's that one. Is there a portal in there? No. Can I get to... Oh, there's a portal right there. Okay, maybe I gotta go that one. Okay. Alright, new plan. Now I will try to say what I was going to say. I think. Can I jump out of the water? That would be cool. Nope. Okay, what I was going to say was that enemy with the tentacles and not being able to shoot it whenever I like is basically whenever you encounter the enemy, there's always you have two options. You either engage with the enemy or you don't, and that's typical. But if you choose to engage with the enemy, you have to enter into it and defeat it on its own cycle. Basically, you don't control the pace of the fight, and what that tends to produce is a lot of waiting. And I brought up Metroid, not Metroid. I brought up Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time because a lot of the enemies, and especially the bosses, fall into this category where you have to wait for the right moment to strike. Because there's no other way to do it. You have no other options. You have to wait for King Dodongo to open his mouth before you throw the bomb in. You have to wait for Twinrova to charge your shield 3 times before you can effectively hit her. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You have to wait for Phantom Ganon to appear from the painting before you can hit him. It's like that for a lot of bosses and a number of enemies. Not every enemy, but a number of enemies. In contrast, fighting an Iron Knuckle or fighting Beast Ganon, you don't have to wait. You can attack it however you want, and if you're not careful, you can die. So killing it depends solely on you and how you engage the enemy. I personally think that is a better way to design an enemy. Because it gives you control the pace of the battle, and also it increases player agency, which I do think is objectively a better way to design your games. You want to maximize player agency. There's a reason why young kids, when they're little, they like Candyland, and then as you get older, you realize Candyland, you have absolutely no control. You're distracted by all the bells and whistles in the candy cane forest. And things like that. Or Chutes and Ladders. Chutes and Ladders looks kind of fun, and that's it. As we get older and we perceive things, we want to know that the choices that we make actually have an impact, and that's true on a story level in games because they're interactive, but it's also true on a micro level. And when I engage that tentacle enemy, I feel like I have very little options when encountering it. Like, nothing I do can hurt it until it decides it will be hurt. So I hope that makes sense. There are ways around it. Like, if you design an enemy that has a cycle where there's a window to damage it, you have to do things to distract the player so that they don't feel like they are just waiting around. Hey, look at that. Dark Temple Key. I didn't even know that was there. Okay, that's why I can't get out of this room, because I don't have the power bomb. Yeah, so ways to kind of distract the player, add different enemies that engage the player while the boss is going through its hit cycle or something like that, or make the boss's attacks happen so quickly that there's really no time to think, or notice that you're waiting. So anyway, that's just wanted to clarify that to know I'm not talking out, completely just pulling things out of nowhere. Candyland Rebellion. Oh yeah, I heard you guys were working on that. Sounds pretty dark. Is it a mix of like Dark Souls and Candyland? Sounds pretty awesome. Someone get to work on that. It's a free one. I won't claim any royalties or anything like that. Am I stuck now? did I just get... I hope I didn't just get... They wouldn't do that. That would be poor game design if I got to a place where I can't do anything. Yeah, I think I'm... What is going on? I'm not underwater, am I? No, I can't do my little boost jump thingy. Ow. Can I boost up there? Oh yeah, I think I can do that. Okay, good. All right. All right. Yeah, this was the wrong way to go. Even with hints, I can't do it. So it's like Hero Quest and Candyland. That'd be cool. Okay. That was clearly the not right way. I need another portal. Not that portal. I need that one. I think. I hope. There is something else I wanted to say, but I want to figure out the way to go first before I start distracting myself. Okay, did I need this? I believe I needed the spider ball to get to this one, and I don't have it. Oh no. Go, 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 go. Yes. No. Why would you do that? Let's try this. Maybe I can sequence break it. Ah, they're too smart for me. Ugh, that's annoying. Wrong way yet again. Anything up there? Nothing up there. Okay. Man, now the game's really wondering what I'm doing. Nothing in here. I was just thinking, this is part of the fun of a Metroid game, is wandering around. Everybody having fun? There we go. I feel like there is a level of patience you have to have as a in your personality to properly engage with Metroid games. Which I think could okay, that'll be a good segue into my next topic of discussion for today. I think I've said this before, but uh, when it comes to media, I understand that there is a certain subjectivity to it. Okay, I take back what I said. I need to figure something out here. Okay, there's another portal over there. Did I try that one? Okay, I tried that one. I tried this one. It didn't work. Okay, now let's go try this guy. Maybe that will work. Okay, the dark door up there. Now I gotta float up there. Okay. There's a certain level of subjectivity as to like preferences and what you like as an individual. But within those preferences and genres, there are game mechanics that I do think are objectively better than others. And when I say objectively better, I mean if you do these things, the majority of players will appreciate it. And I think, as I've mentioned before, player agency is one of those things. In any type of genre, if you give player agency, the majority of players will appreciate it, and a minority of those players will actually notice it and appreciate it on a deeper level. Which means, to me, you can do things that will make players subconsciously like your game, even if they can't quite put a finger on it. Okay, I was a teacher for 11 years, and I studied a lot of teaching best practices. And no best practice in teaching works for every student because every student is different to an extent. But there are things you can do that will be effective for most students. So that's my overall point with that. Now, I'm going to take it a step further and get a little philosophical. And so I'm if you disagree with this next part, I totally understand. Okay. Whenever you start to talk about what something should be like, okay, that is like really closely related to should in the sense of like, is it good quality, but also should in the sense of morals. Okay? And now I tie this to when I say games should be designed in a certain way. I don't just mean so that the maximum amount of players will interact with that game, or say it's good. I mean the game is actually good in a both should sense and an objective sense. So for me, when I apply this moral category, I'm I'm trying to say that there's games that are good to play, not just because they're quality, but also they're actually good for the player to play. So hence my rants a while ago on gacha games and why I think they're actually bad for people to play. Like morally bad. Like it'll do something to them as a player, as a person. It'll change the way that they think about games, and it will train them to engage with games in a way that is not good. And it's something I feel like a lot of people don't think about. And it is I'm not talking about the whole debate on violent video games and things like that. That's not what I'm getting at. I think people understand naturally though that that the games and the media that we interact with both reflect can reflect our own outlook on things, but also influence us in different ways. Okay, let's get rid of this guy. Like, video games aside, the stories that the stories. I was listening to this author talk about the state of literature in the West and the world, and one of the claims they made was that the kind of heroes that a society produces is reflective of the state of that society. If you get less aspirational heroes being produced, it says something that about the society that we're in. Mostly that we're in a not optimistic time in the West because of the lack of optimism, or the lack of what do you call it? The lack of aspirational heroes. That's it. Oh, thank God. And stories do, we tend, because we're human, and this is another point that I'm just kind of throwing out there without any real evidence or studies, so take it with a grain of salt if you will. Humans learn best and tends to develop their own outlook on life through stories. And because of the interactive nature of video games, the stories that video games tell us I feel like they become a bit more potent in a sense, meaning that they have a greater chance of sticking with us over time and kind of influencing our own outlook and how we think about things. My wife and I were getting through Paralandra. I mentioned the book before. I don't know if I said this before, but Paralandra is part of the Space Trilogy for C.S. Lewis. If you've only read C.S. Lewis as the Narnia guy, go read the Space Trilogy. It's much more... if you like philosophy and philosophical discussion, go read the Space Trilogy. It's sci-fi. It's not like action-oriented. It's about this doctor who gets to visit different planets. Anyway, it's also has it's philosophical discussion on the religion, and specifically Christianity. So, just be prepared for that. If you're not a Christian, you're going to get some theological discussion there as well as philosophy. Anyway, the bad guy in the second book, he's called the Unman, and he is probably one of the most horrifying villains that I've seen in literature, and probably one of my favorite villains that I've come across in just all fantasy. Anyway, he tries to corrupt this character, and one of the ways he does it is by sitting down and telling her stories, like over and over and over again. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, at one point it says it didn't matter if she understood the story. It didn't matter if she had questions, because he wouldn't answer her questions about the story. He'd just go on telling her another story. And it took the protagonist a while to figure out what was actually happening, and he kind of breaks it down as to what the point of the stories were, and to try to figure out what his intellectual game was. So that's a very dumbed down version of it, but go read the book. It's really the solution to the problem is definitely not what you think it is, but it's really good. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm coming from when I think of the importance of media and why we need to actually talk about it. And it does matter that there's more and more anti-heroes being pushed into the forefront of society versus more and more aspirational heroes, and why even trends in media where more and more people, we don't have that typical hero look anymore, both in the way the hero behaves or in the way they act or even in the way they physically look. I mean, Luke Skywalker is now a broken down old man. Indiana Jones is now a broken down old man. Han Solo is now a broken down old man. James Bond is not the confident James Bond. Obviously there are issues with James Bond, but he's very different than he was even up to like Pierce Brosnan age Bond, which is kind of modern. Like, there's a lot of examples that of heroes from our past that are not the same as they once were, and that reflects what humans, how we view heroes in society. And it's kind of like a feedback loop there, where how we view heroes tends to train us that this is the right way a hero should be viewed, and that produces more of those types of heroes. I hate that guy. I hate that enemy. I hate it a lot. I need to say that. I wish it would die. Yeah, I made some comment about culture and the influence of games and things like that, and someone made an antagonistic comment and held up a meme that was like, my favorite fictional character agrees with my cultural opinion, and it was an insult meme for sure, but it's not the point. It's not the point I was getting at. It's okay to have heroes that buck the trend. That's where anti-heroes come into play, and anti-heroes can be extremely useful in every setting, but not every hero needs to be a anti-hero. Samus is a really interesting hero, I think, given what little we actually know about her, but she's also very simple. So simplicity, complexity, and I don't know, she's kind of mysterious, and I think that that's a good thing about her. And there should be some mysteries, not bad. We don't need to know everything about her and her backstory and everything. But if you are going to develop her backstory, better make it good. Hey, this is where I was trying to get to earlier. I swear, if this just only opens up that one. Okay, good. It's doing something. Okay, no texts of... See, look at these guys. Okay, see these guys. You're pretty simple design. They jump around and shoot you. But if I want to, I could run down there and just try to damage rush him. And that will probably end up in me dying, if depending on how many of them there are. But I can choose to do that. I can engage the hero with my dark beam, which will freeze it, or I can switch to my light beam, Or I can do that. That's really cool too. That I spawn the light thing and it vaporizes him. See, it's simple, but it's a well designed enemy because I have complete agency. The enemy can do what it wants, and I can do what I want, and it just works. It's more fun. Okay, fun isn't a bad thing. Not everything that's fun is well designed, and not everything. But I will say that if it's well designed, it will be fun to the majority of players. Not that dumb tentacle monster. Okay. Guess I'll shoot these. Also, what I'm not saying when it comes to the shoulds of video games and storytelling is that if you disagree with the worldview or the uh, any kind of messaging being discussed, that doesn't mean it's bad. Like, if you've never read The Watchmen, you should go read The Watchmen. I disagree entirely with its nihilistic outlook on things, but it is a great story. It's really well written, and it will engage you. It's quality, and because it's quality, that's you know, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. Because it's quality, it has much more of an impact on people, and I think, you know, throughout the years, does have a cult following. But it's a quality story, even though I disagree with what it's trying to say, but all in all, it makes you think about things. It'll deepen your understanding of what's out there, and um, you know, whereas before I might think of like a nihilistic outlook on life is just completely not understandable at all, and to some extent, I do think that I understand it more now. Yes, that's true. If it's successful, which I think, yeah, if there is a successful anti-hero story, it will produce copycats because, well, one is money. that's that's always going to be an influence. Uh, but if that's the only factor, then I think people would get bored with it at some point. I don't know. Maybe I definitely don't think I'm too far off to say that it has that sort of feedback loop where it will reproduce itself just because of how it teaches people how to view things. I do think people can be trained to enjoy media that is not quality. I think, Tim, what was that song I asked you once that has poor music mechanics but is insanely popular? I can't remember the name of it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. I think that is totally possible for media to be very poorly designed, but yet people are can be trained in a way to enjoy not quality things, which is kind of scary. But Metroid Prime 4 is a good example of uh, the training that goes on, or money being an influence in what people expect out of their media. Like the inclusion of these side characters, these quippy side characters who attempt to do humor, I think is a direct is a is a correlation between what we've come to expect out of our sci-fi adventures, which is very much influenced by the Marvel series. We The generation that grew up with Marvel now expects that everything has to have these quippy side characters. And it worked really well with Guardians of the Galaxy. It worked really well with Avengers, but over time, I feel like the quality dipped. The quippiness wasn't as quippy, and the serious moments were not well balanced with the funny moments. Which, from what I see written about Metroid Prime 4, is one of the biggest problems with Metroid Prime 4. Boss time. Oh, list them off here. List them off in the chat. I want to know all the songs like that. So that I can post about them. Don't worry, I'll blur out your name. I think that happens actually automatically. I should actually read this thing. Okay. Well-armored target utilizes grapple beam to ensnare enemies. Weak spots detected. Back of shell and eye. Uses special attack when angered. Okay, again, see this guy? I have to navigate and figure out where to hit him. But... oh, I see. He's going to use his attack, and then I go back here, and then I... bam! Okay, see, look. I can... depending on how fast I move, I can do this without having to wait for an enemy cycle. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. It's exciting. There's no wait time. I have to both dodge and attack at the same time. There's no point where I can put down the controller. If at any point in a boss fight you can put down the controller and be safe, that is a very bad very bad thing. Come on. Nice. Yeah, so what I was going to say, I think the chat, when I stream it, it like pseudo blurs out people's names. Like, I can see it, but when I stream, when I look at the stream replay, the names are kind of blurred out, so I guess you can say whatever you want. And notice how, too, boss difficulty can have an effect on it, but it's not... a boss doesn't need to be difficult to be fun. That's the thing. For some people, that is a more subjective thing, though. Some people do appreciate more difficult bosses. Namely, the people who like Dark Souls games. But if you'll notice, in Dark Souls games, there's very few bosses... if any. I played Elden Ring. That's the only one I played. Elden Ring is awesome. But I can't think of any boss in Elden Ring that has that waiting mechanic. Maybe the dragon, because it flies around. But even then, you could try to shoot it. But the whole idea behind Elden Ring is like, yeah, you can go in there guns blazing and just swing wildly and try to damage rush a boss. But there are very few bosses in Elden Ring that you can actually damage rush and survive. I like how that game kind of punishes you. Like, the AI knows when you drink a health potion. So, like, as soon as you hit that button, there's like a split second where the game senses it and then decides, okay, now I'm going to attack. Oh, I pissed it off. It's doing something. What's it doing? Is it stuck? Tim, you should make a video for your stuff about all those songs that everybody loves that are technically bad and point out why. I think that'd be a huge hit and would make a lot of people angry. But like the whole time, just talk in a really nice tone and like don't be mean. So people will be really conflicted as to what to think. Yes, the money part does have a lot to do with it. Come on. Super missile. Oh no. I'm not fast enough. Morning, Eamon. We were just trying to discuss media that is popular but is not good from a technical perspective. Okay, this guy's... Okay, I gotta get around behind him. Alright, let's... Oh, come on, come on. Yes! Look at that. That's such a cool design. Look at that guy. We're making progress in the game today. As opposed to days when we don't make progress. There was a little bit of technical difficulties, but the game seems to be leveling out. At the beginning it was really... Frame rates are pretty low. Look at Samus's arm there, like... So that's something... I mean... It's the little things, okay? So... I don't know if they did... They did it in Metroid Prime where you get... You know, when you get different suits, Samus looks different. But I don't think they added the aspect of... I'll have to go back and check. Like, if I look at Samus's design right now... Inventory. How can I look at Samus? There's usually a way I can look at Samus. Logbook? No. Inventory? Armor. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's not what I want. I want this. Alright, so this is the basic dark suit. But if you'll notice, when there's shots in the game that show me, when I got that gravity upgrade, it added something to my back. When I got the grapple beam, it added something to my forearm. Like, it's not a huge deal, but it does add a little something to how the player looks that signals again to the player that progression is happening. And you want to do that in any way you can. If you can signal to the player that you're getting stronger in many different ways, you know, the subconscious brain begins to notice, and you can see it. Like, think of Mega Man X. Mega Man X is a near perfect game, and as you go throughout the game, you get different abilities and you get different armor that slowly builds you up and makes you look really cool. And it's just, you know, aside from being a great design choice, it's just a signal to the player that you're progressing, that you're doing something. And you know, I think that goes hand in hand with player agency. You want the player to feel like they have control, and you want the player to know that you're making progress. You're doing something. And Metroid has a good way of doing that by littering the landscape with collectibles, but not too many collectibles as to make them kind of repetitive. Gacha games hack this desire of progression to the point where you know, you log onto a gacha game and you've been playing for like an hour and all you've done is collect your collectibles. You haven't actually played the game. But your brain kind of enjoys it because it gives you those quick little dopamine hits. I'll say it before, I say it again. Gacha games are, I would, if we're talking about should and morals and things like that, I don't think gacha games are good for people to play. Not that doesn't mean they're not fun. That doesn't mean they don't have some good art design or good story, but the gacha mechanics themselves are predatory. You know, as I said before, Twinkie is delicious, but if you eat a lot of Twinkies, you will die. Forging Devil May Cry. I've never actually played the Devil May Cry games. I think I would enjoy them. Create a problem, sell the solution. Yeah, except I don't see what the solution I don't see what the solution is. Like if the problem is that people are getting addicted to gacha games and they're the most popular video games out there, you know, if the problem is generating a lot of money, I don't think that, I don't think there's a reason they want to solve that problem. Oh, silly me. I need to go down here. Nope, too far. My favorite enemy in the world. See, like, okay, good. All right, I just haven't been using the light beam. I still think my my theory still stands that this is a poorly designed enemy, even though I can kill it really quickly with the light beam and haven't been. Gonna go save. Yeah, I mean, gotta grind or spend money or just wait. Like these new AFK games, I say new, but they're advertised as AFK. Like you can play this game without playing this game, which basically rewards you for doing nothing. And it tricks you into coming back into the game just to log in and get your rewards, you know, lest you miss those rewards. And the actual playing of the game is not really there, and that I think is dangerous. It wastes time. It's the bad side of fun. A good side of fun and a bad side of fun, and I believe that that is a bad side of fun. Okay, I need to head back to the light. Back to the light. I think there's a door. A door down there that I need to get to. Whee! Oh my gosh. Die. Why can't I hit you? Ugh. But that. No. Oh my gosh. Just go away. Alright. Sorry, Eamon. I know you just joined, but I gotta find a save point and call it a day. We got some early stuff going on. I think a saving grace for a lot of gacha games is that they do attempt to give you the social aspect. You're meant to play them with people and join guilds and communicate and strategize, even if ultimately I don't think you really have very much agency in the game other than how much money are you willing to spend. Design of like convenience store prices, the design of gacha games revolves around convenience. You could wait or grind, but wouldn't it just be easier to get that sweet, sweet dopamine? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It would be easier and it would feel good. Oh, look at that. I can... Whee! Oh, but I can't get in there. Can I use this? Nope. Yes, please do. And share it with your friends. I'm trying to figure out, like, man, my reach on X has been abysmal. Uh, and it corresponded with me streaming. Like, as soon as I started streaming and trying to share clips from my streams, my reach has just gone way down. And I don't know if it's because X has, like, a, like, algorithm or something. Probably something like that. Yeah, it is. It is the dark side. It's all gonna come back to Star Wars eventually. That is the fate of all things. Yeah, I started sharing Kick. I started clipping things on Kick, and then sharing the link to those clips, which works. But then even the tiny amount of people who actually look at those and see them don't actually interact with them. So then what I did was I downloaded those clips on Kick and then uploaded them directly to X's platform, which has been working better because there's autoplay. But even that, like, the reach is just still... I'm lucky if I get 50 impressions, which is just awful. Whereas, like, you know, my my high impression count was never anything better. Like, a good impression count for me was like 200 at one point. Great was over 1,000. But maybe somehow X knows that I'm trying to throw all my stuff in different places and is punishing me for it. Elon Musk, he's on to me. Oh, man. Yep. I said that without having read your last comments. Well, then he better do something better with it. Like, I've enjoyed all the changes he makes, but there's a lot of, like, stuff that's just not... Yeah. No, not gonna go that route, Eamon. Sorry. Maybe I'll go the rage bait route instead and just start making people angry. That seems to work pretty well. Okay. Alright. Think I'm gonna end it here. I got my Star Wars shirt on. Could put my Jedi robe on. I don't know. I don't really want to be known for that. Maybe I could just dress nice. Put a tie. I do that when I do my live streams. I put a tie on because I don't want to look like a schlob. Hot tub streams. Yeah, just let me convince my wife to put a hot tub in my garage. I'm sure she'd be okay with that. My kids would love it. All right. Well, that was fun. Check out the VOD. Subscribe to everything. Just click on my bio in X or YouTube or Kick or Twitch or I think those are the four. Instagram, and go follow me everywhere. I don't know. It's fun. Thanks for hanging out, Tim, Eamon, and anyone else. Thank you for the new subscribers. I saw your messages earlier, but they didn't persist. So